Let's start with the fifth and count down to the first place, uncovering the deadliest and most dangerous jobs in the ancient times. Number 5. Messenger. In ancient times, being a messenger was not just a job, it was a dangerous adventure. These couriers were essential for communication, carrying messages between cities and empires. They worked for kings, military leaders, and merchants, with their messages often changing the course of history. However, the life of a messenger was fraught with danger. They had to travel through hostile territories, risking capture or death. Enemy forces saw them as spies, making their journeys incredibly perilous, especially during wartime. Nature itself was an adversary. Messengers faced extreme weather, treacherous terrains, and attacks from wild animals. Deserts, scorching heat, and mountains' treacherous paths were daily challenges. The risk of bandit attacks or getting lost in unfamiliar territories was always high. Statistically, messengers had a shorter lifespan, many not surviving past their 30s. While exact data is scarce, it's estimated that a large number died on the job due to these hazards. Despite the dangers, there was never a shortage of messengers, driven by duty, the thrill of adventure, or the promise of rewards. Their crucial role in history often decided the fate of wars and skirmishes of great empires and kingdoms. Number 4. Aqueduct Worker. The job of an aqueduct worker was both crucial and hazardous. These workers, often slaves or laborers of low status, were responsible for constructing and maintaining vast aqueduct systems that supplied water to cities and settlements, used by everyone from commoners to the elite. The dangers they faced were numerous. Firstly, the construction of aqueducts often involved working at great heights, as these structures sometimes arched over valleys and crossed rivers. Falls from such heights were common and frequently fatal. Secondly, tunneling through hills or mountains to maintain the flow of water was a treacherous task. Cave-ins were a constant threat, and many workers lost their lives buried under tons of earth. Another risk came from the materials used. Workers handled heavy stones and lead pipes. The physical strain led to numerous injuries, and prolonged exposure to lead caused lead poisoning, contributing to a lower life expectancy among these workers. Statistically, although precise records from this period are scarce, it's estimated that the life expectancy for aqueduct workers was significantly lower than the average citizens. While an average Roman might live into their 40s or 50s, aqueduct workers often met their end in their 20s, if not earlier, due to work-related accidents or long-term health complications. Despite these dangers, the role of aqueduct workers was vital. They enabled the flow of fresh water essential for drinking, bathing, and even powering mills, benefiting a wide range of users from common citizens in their daily lives to wealthy individuals and public officials who required water for their luxurious baths and grand gardens. Number 3. Potion Maker. Potion Maker's job was both mystical and perilous. These early chemists, often seen as wizards or healers, served everyone from kings to common folk. Their work involved creating mixtures for healing, protection, or sometimes harm. The dangers were real and ever-present. Mixing wrong ingredients could lead to explosions, poisonings, or noxious fumes. It was not just the potion maker at risk, but also those around them. Ingesting or merely handling certain compounds like mercury or arsenic, now known to be toxic, was then routine. Life expectancy for potion makers was significantly lower than average. Most lived only into their 30s, if they were lucky. Many succumbed to occupational hazards like chemical poisoning or accidental ingestion of deadly mixtures. It wasn't just the chemicals. The stress of ensuring the effectiveness of potions, especially for royal patrons, could be immense. Failure often meant fatal consequences. One notable example was a potion maker in ancient Rome, whose concoction accidentally poisoned a noble. Though it was an accident, the potion maker faced severe punishment. This fear of retribution made the job even more stressful. Though records are scarce, it's said that a potion maker in Egypt had to create a mixture for the pharaoh. The task was to ensure the pharaoh's victory in battle. The pressure was immense, and the potion maker worked tirelessly testing and retesting the potion. Unfortunately, the pharaoh suffered adverse effects, leading to the potion maker's untimely demise. Despite the risks, potion makers were essential. Their knowledge of herbs, minerals, and other substances was unparalleled. They were the bridge between the mystical and the medical, the natural and the supernatural. Their services were indispensable, making their profession respected yet feared. Number 2. Lighthouse Keeper. Being a lighthouse keeper in ancient times was a crucial and perilous job. These guardians of the sea provided an essential service, ensuring the safety of sailors and their vessels by maintaining the lighthouse's flame, guiding ships away from treacherous coastlines and rocky shores. Life expectancy for lighthouse keepers varied, often shortened by the harsh working conditions. They faced isolation, severe weather, and the constant risk of accidents, such as falls while performing maintenance on high structures or fires, a common hazard given the open flames used for the light. The job was not only physically demanding, but also mentally taxing due to the solitude and constant vigilance required. They very often suffered from mental illness caused by chronic lack of sleep combined with physical exertion. Lighthouse keepers would often live in the lighthouse itself. Their service was used by ancient maritime cultures, such as the Greeks and Romans, who understood the importance of safely navigating their trade and military vessels. Lighthouse keepers of this era faced unique challenges. They had to ensure the flame was always lit, which meant a continuous supply of fuel like oil or wood was necessary. This task was daunting, as they needed to store and handle large quantities of flammable materials, increasing the risk of fire. The job also had its seasonal dangers. Storms and high seas could threaten the structural integrity of the lighthouse, and keepers had to be ready to conduct repairs in treacherous conditions. Furthermore, the geographic location of lighthouses, often on remote and rugged coastlines, meant that keepers were exposed to the elements and could be cut off from the mainland for extended periods. Being a lighthouse keeper in ancient times was a role of immense responsibility, demanding both physical and mental endurance. Their service was integral to the safety and success of ancient maritime activities. Number 1. Medicinal Practitioners. The job of a medicinal practitioner was both vital and dangerous. These practitioners, often called healers or physicians, were crucial in treating illnesses and injuries. However, their work carried significant risks. With limited knowledge about diseases and a lack of effective medicines, many healers themselves fell victim to the very illness they tried to cure. The average life expectancy of these practitioners varied depending on the plagues and new infectious diseases. Patients of all social classes, from slaves to nobility, sought their services. Yet the methods used could be hazardous. Bloodletting, a common practice, often led to infections or severe weakness. Healers also used herbs and healing mixtures, some of which were toxic. Without precise knowledge of dosages and effects, accidental poisonings were very common. In times of epidemics, such as smallpox or dysentery outbreaks, medicinal practitioners were in high demand. They courageously tended to the sick, but this often resulted in a high mortality rate among the practitioners themselves due to contagion. Despite these dangers, their role was highly respected, and they were often considered wise and knowledgeable members of their communities.